All right, welcome everybody. This is a What's Up For You call, and it is January 11th, 2024. So let's just check in here first before we get started. So we were saying before the recording started, it's a little bit of a, you might say, a quieter call today, and it feels like there's just this energy of choice right now, whereas where everything might have been, everything including this might have been an open invitation in the past, now it's more like almost like a pause and a choice, a little bit more you might say a little bit more personal responsibility even than has been invited to before within this community. So anyway, so yeah, that's kind of the way the energy feels. There's also, I will say, there's just an awful lot, I don't know, I feel like the next 30 days, the next 60 days at the outset is really the energy of shift and change and awareness of things that we might not have been aware of before, and that can equate to our own inner lives, our own personal lives, aspects of ourselves that we just weren't aware of, that we do become aware of. And it also definitely equates to things out in the outer landscape, in the outer world, that we might not have had any idea about, that all of a sudden are coming into play. So yeah. So yeah, so we'll just start there. The other thing is, if you're just entering the conversation, then go ahead and put your questions in the chat room for Sharon, and we'll get started here. Yeah, let me see what else. There's something. Oh, yeah. So can we all kind of lean back and like, anytime you come to a conversation like this, there's this desire for answers, right? It's like it's already there. So there's this energy of kind of leaning forward. If we just kind of lean back and start breathing into that still point within our heart space, really allowing ourselves to receive the answers, to receive the input or the perceptual shifts that might be offered here. Yeah, so we're just backing up and we're in receiving mode. Yeah, we're in receiving mode. Okay, Sharon, are you ready for me?
I am.
Go ahead.
My son is making frequent loud sounds of ah from last 15 days. These sounds are so loud that our ears hurt if we are around him. He is nonverbal, yet also he often makes his throat muscles very tight and makes some kind of buzzing sound. Is there something in the environment that is bothering him, and why is he suddenly doing this?
It's a little bit about what I was just talking about in the energy that's coming up in the next 30, 60 days. It's like, I mean, literally, if you make that feeling in your throat, if you tense up your throat muscles, if you make that right, if you make that sound, you almost get the feeling in your body of what he's picking up energetically. And I tell people in the mentorship and in the integration series all the time to mimic or mirror, your children's sounds, their actions. And again, you're not calling them out on it. You're not mimicking them to make them feel uncomfortable. You're doing it to see what it feels like in your body. Because a lot of times when we do that, we feel what it feels like in our bodies, we get the information right away about what that energy is kind of about. So to me, it, again, we didn't start this conversation in the place we did for no reason. There is this energy that is, I won't say it's emerging, I'll say it's kind of culminating. And, you know, anybody who's energetically sensitive, like the kids all are going to be picking that up and acting that out in the way that they do. And so it feels, to me, in his case, it feels like something he is attempting to help push through. Yeah. So, and I would just say that to him. You know, when I make that, I would make that sound yourself. I would do that throat posture yourself, and then tell him what it feels like to you. This is kind of what it feels like to me. Is this, you know, is this what you're noticing? Or wow, isn't it amazing that you can feel that and help move that, because it's exactly what it looks like he's doing in this case. Yeah. Yeah, 15 days from now, it might, if it's been happening for 15 days, he's just telling me 15 days from now, it might be all pushed through. So that might be a behavior of the past.
My child is 3.5 years old and doesn't speak yet. He just started using a potty about a month ago. He still needs help with taking off his pants. He seems to love the process of peeing in the potty like a big boy. He woke up a night to go and use the potty, and surprisingly, we had no accidents until about a week ago. It feels like he just doesn't care anymore, and that he is a big boy and needs to go pee in the potty. Even with reminders, he just doesn't really want to go. Can you please look into that? Any advice would greatly appreciated.
Because we all have our focus mainly in the 3D world and the seen world, very often we'll assume that everything that is playing out is because of something that is seen. And again, I can't stress enough that this next 30, 60 days is really an energetic tipping point of sorts. And so let's say your child has been very focused and very capable of using the toilet, that's it has been his physical focal point. And then all of a sudden, an unseen or a vibrational focal point comes in, and that kind of distracts him and takes his attention for a moment. What he's saying to me is, I'm still capable. Assume that this skill set is coming back. And also it it's okay for him to fail. That sounds funny, but that it's okay for him to, I know it's not fun for you and it's not fun for cleaning sheets and all the other things you have to do, but it's okay for him to have an accident also, so that you can just say, you know, it's like, okay, let's go in the potty because yeah, we don't want to do that anymore. We don't want to, but it's almost like that physical, it's like that they get come in. Hold on a second here. I come in, enjoys him. It's almost like you're bringing him back into the physical by allowing him to have an accident, and you're also bringing him back into the physical by not assuming that it's just that he just doesn't want to do it. He's just saying he's preoccupied with other things, and so we're 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 bringing him back into the physical in all ways. We're having him notice his body, notice where he's sitting, notice that you're right there in front of him. Notice, like you're asking him to notice the physical world, because he is right now drawn into the unseen world. Yeah. Yeah. I hope that's helpful.
I have been experiencing pain in my legs and left hip, making it a challenge to walk. Thought it was biological upgrade. How does it look to you energetically, Suzy? And thank you.
Well, it does look like biological upgrade, and kind of as we talk a lot about in the New World Portal, biological upgrade doesn't always feel comfortable, and what's interesting here is I've had this happen too, with my shoulders, like where it was my right shoulder was the one that was off, and then all of a sudden there was almost like a balancing effect trying to go on, and so it would shift to the other shoulder. This is kind of what I'm seeing in your hips, where it might be your left, but it's actually there's actually a balance. Let's figure eight this. Let's just move a figure eight between your hips, left and right, left and right, left and right. Let's just go ahead and reconfigure this energy so that that sense of stability, that sense of balance, that sense of moving forward in the world based on where you are now energetically versus maybe where you were in the past. We're just reconfiguring that, and it can be that simple, where as soon as you feel stuck in one place, whether it's hips or shoulders or ventricles of the heart or head, start moving that figure eight between those two seemingly opposite points, left hip, right hip. There we go. Keep moving it. There we go. Yeah, and what I keep hearing is like there's a reorganization going on around what you consider stability as well. Whereas stability might have meant certain things to you in the past, maybe even in the distant past, stability means something completely different to you right now already. And so it's almost like your hips are the last thing to adjust to what stability now means for you. Yeah. 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 Very cool. That'll settle itself through here pretty quick. Yeah.
My toddler has been smashing his face into the top of my head and in my brow chakra recently. He's also been insisting on swinging in his sensory swing almost constantly. I'd like to know what he is trying to express and how I can help him regulate or calm his body. He is a toddler, so one of it might just be his age.
Yeah, again, I wish maybe we'll just do a collective piece of energy work around this today, because the fact is that I can almost guarantee it's this energetic climate. And as he's, hitting his brow up against yours, it's almost like it is wake up, wake up, wake up. And I'm not suggesting that you're not awake or he's not awake. What I'm suggesting is that this particular energetic climate and I'll say this next month or two is just this opportunity for literally, I mean, as I was saying earlier, to see things that we haven't seen before, both within ourselves and out in the outer world. And he's really, bless his heart, he's really doing and attempting to regulate himself. That swing, that sensory swing for him is just that. It's just giving his body the opportunity to relax and reorient while all this shift and change and new awareness is being made available. It's almost like he's saying, like, flowing through that, like, let me flow through that. Let me flow through that opening. swing through that opening, you might say. Yeah. He's creating a flow is what he's doing when he's on that swing. So that said, everybody here who has a child who is distracted, disoriented, dysregulated, any of our own inner children that are feeling the same way, and because it's based on something that's not seen, we don't know what it is. And of course, anytime the human mind doesn't know what something is, it either starts making up stories or it gets a little freaked out. Yeah. So let's just, everybody here that has an inner child or outer child having that experience, let's clear this field. Yeah, so first, what we're doing here is we're bringing in awareness. What is it that we're being asked to be aware of? Whether we're a highly sensitive kid, internally or externally, what are we being asked to be aware of? And as soon as we're being asked to be aware of that particular focal point, we're not going to run away from it. We're not going to hide from it. We're simply, you might say, like any divine mother, we're going to put our attention right onto it. We're going to be present to that part of ourselves, or that part of what we're seeing. Ooh, this is a big one, guys. I mean, it's yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Distraction, disorientation, dysregulation. No matter where that's happening, no matter who that's happening within, no matter what we make that mean, we're regulating our bodies to what has not been seen that can now be seen. What has not been seen that can now be seen. Jeez Louise. Okay. Just one more piece here. Go right into the heart space. For a lot of you, there's a lot of protective energy around the heart space. Again, anytime where the mind can't figure something out, it either makes something up from the past or it goes into panic mode. Yeah. It goes into fix-it mode. And again, just like we were saying at the very beginning of this call, instead of let's relax back, let's relax the heart back. We're not even going to ask the heart to open as much as we're going to ask it to just not contract. There's a lot of energy around contraction. And that might be what we're being asked to see within ourselves in this kind of energetic climate. What are we being asked to see? In what ways have we contracted that heart space around the unknown instead of opened it or relaxed it? Where have we trained ourselves to jump into and fix versus settle back and witness or watch, relax? There, right there. Somebody just got the aha. That was great. Okay, there we go. So even that movement, you can feel it in your body. Something's going on with your kids or with yourself. It makes you a little bit anxious, it makes you frustrated or overwhelmed. You can feel your body almost lurch forward. You can feel that heart, kind of protect and lead, you know. And so even that body posture, you might want to just consider, okay, I'm just going to take a deep breath and I'm going to relax back. It's the difference between witnessing what's going on and going into fix it mode. Yeah. There we go. Okay. See if there's anything else. Yeah, most of the kids are saying this is like a 30-day cycle. Yeah. Yeah, 30-day cycle. Mid-July. Yeah. And if we use that 30-day cycle to be present to what we haven't been present to, or to see, be willing to see what we haven't seen before, then that's it. That's the end of that cycle. Yeah. Okay.
This one, the daughter is turning 32, and she's just asking to see what the daughter would like to express to her.
Okay, so she's just has, hold on a second, let me get all the words organized here and then we'll go. Yeah, say it all. Okay, so she's showing me everything in pictures, so I'm trying to reorient the pictures into words that make sense. So she's saying that she recognizes and realizes that the way she's saying it, or the way she's showing it to me, is like the orientation of her life has been orientation, reorientation, orientation, reorientation. And she wants to acknowledge that the fluctuation, okay, the fluctuations in her life experience for these 32 years has been very purposeful. It's almost like the ebb and flow of the ocean, the ebb and flow of the tide. Both the ebb and the flow make up the ocean, make up the experience of the ocean. And she's talking a lot about, through her lens anyway, she understands that ebb and flow is orientation, reorientation is not always very comfortable for everyone around her. But the highest vantage point of her sees that ebb and flow all as part of the whole. And it's interesting, honey, you don't have to apologize for anything. There's a little bit of an apologetic energy. She's very sweetness. There's yeah, it's like she recognizes that ebb and flow, that orientation, that disorientation. She understands the challenge that has been for those around her over the last 32 years. We're absolving her of any need to apologize for any of that, because what she also brought to the picture, and knows that she brought to the picture within this family unit, is this capacity or this invitation for everybody to ride that ebb and flow, to see the positives, the perceived positives and the perceived negatives, all as part of the whole. And it's interesting, she's a little bit emotional in even having this, in sharing these words or having this conversation. It's it's her broadest perspective is typically, not always, but typically her perspective. And she wants you to know that as well. It feels that that will be helpful. Yeah, that her broadest perspective, not always, there are times when she is in, I feel like I need to apologize, or yeah, or even a little bit of emotional kind of overwhelm at being able to share something that may or may not have been able to be shared in the past. So, but she's saying for the most part, her vantage point is a pretty highly refined vantage point, regardless of what that looks like um, in the physical world or not. Yeah, yeah. So I hope that's helpful. And if you have any specific questions for her too, if I'd add them, because I think she would answer something very specifically now too. So that's that.
Okay, I have been feeling very indecisive regarding small things and big things. I just can't decide in any situation that requires a yes or a no. I am also noticing I cannot trust myself and my ability to discern. Why can't I say yes and no and discern between things, and how can I move beyond this into clarity? Thank you.
You can't discern because, quite frankly, the whole of consciousness, the whole of the collective consciousness is right in a process where there are things to discern about that they weren't even privy to, like does that make sense? It's like all of collective humanity in this next 30, 60 days is going to be privy to information that they haven't been privy to before. And as they're privy to that information, they recognize that, of course, they couldn't make a choice about something moving forward because they didn't have all the information. And so this is happening. I mean, Sharon can tell you, we've been back and forth about, fluctuating, ebb and flow, what choices are going to be made, where are we going next, what's happening, can't do it, just so we sit in what's available to be present to in the moment, and kind of ride that tide until that shifts and changes. But something will shift and change. It will shift and change within you in this next month or so. And sometimes just taking the pressure off of yourself, if you can, to just, okay, I'm not, instead of coming at it from the vantage point that there's something wrong with you or there's something broken that needs to be fixed, and that's why you're not yet making a choice or a decision, let's see it through the lens of you don't have all the information. And as soon as you have all the information, I guarantee that you will have a strong yes and have a strong no. Yeah, you'll have a very strong yes and you'll have a very strong no. We're just going to take the pressure off, and we're going to take the story of, because, and it does feel like a story. It does feel like you probably in your past, in your history, also had people that maybe have insinuated that you're not really good at making a decision, or and so in times like this where you might really want to but don't have all the information, that old story might come back. So even just looking at that, well, what if nothing was ever wrong? What if you just didn't have all the information? And I will almost guarantee that there's not a person on this planet right now that has all the information. Yeah, but we are getting ready to get more of that and make decisions from that. So yeah, I hope that's helpful.
All right. I seem to be clumsy lately, which is showing up as bruises, particularly on my left shin. Wondering if there is more to this than realigning with all the new energies coming in.
Our bodies are consistently, constantly attempting to reorient. Just, I think it was Monday in the New World Portal, we worked with biological transformation or biological transfiguration. And the reason that that happened to be the topic is exactly what you're talking about here, which is that the biology is literally reorienting right now. So, you might have several really good days, very clear days, and then, wow, feel like you're dizzy or disoriented. And what happens in the physical body when we're disoriented is usually that equates to, what does our gait look like? Are we able to are we able to feel balanced in our bodies? What's happening to our equilibrium? All of that is related to what you're experiencing. One of the things that might be helpful is, and I know that we're hearing this left, right, and center right now, and I know it sounds like a very basic spiritual practice or basic energetic practice, whatever you want to call that, but ground, ground, ground. Yep, ground not just from the body down, but ground from the earth up. Yeah, check in on that root, maybe root and sacral, and really kind of, it's almost like flush out that root and sacral, ground down, maybe even grounding down from the heart through the root and sacral once it's clear, and then let energy come back up from the earth into that space too, so that you really feel like you're being held through this process. Yeah. I mean, literally letting that divine mother, that earth mother, really hold you in the process. Yeah, just a little bit more stabilization. It'll also help with, hips and hips and knees and legs, and same thing. It's like it keeps fluctuating from left to right, but it almost feels like whatever was blocked in those energetic fields, especially for those of us who spend a lot of time in other places, so to speak. It's like to actually have that grounded here. It'll feel like all the veins, all the channels, the meridians are opening up. So yeah, we can help that out by grounding.
My husband has been talking about that he feels some kind of energy presence constantly following him. For years, he had a traumatic life and is often struggling with anxiety and anger and depression. He said the other night he woke up because he felt something was trying to put a blanket over his face. This kind of instance happens regularly. Can you please look into this, and what can I do to help him? Thank you so much.
Let's clear it. I mean, it's like I don't know what it is about this energy, but let's just move these things around a little bit, or let at least give some space so that it can be seen or recognized for what it is. Because again, there's two things going on here. There's a pattern of fear that was established really, really early on. I mean, really early on, maybe even in utero, but there's a pattern that was established very early on that created a fear. And you might say almost like let's take it very practically here, like a fear of suffocation, a fear of not being able to see or not being able to know. that kind of thing. I mean, let's take it, if somebody was putting something over someone's head, what happens to somebody? It's like when that happens. And so there's that energy. And it was established really, really early on. So it doesn't make any mental sense necessarily to him, which can create even more fear because he can't work himself out of it from a mental standpoint. It was established well before his mental capacity was being developed, like in that first 7 years of life. This is happening much more when he's in a sensory state or in an emotional state. Yep. And so that's the program it runs. But the other side of it is right next to that energy, there's this energy of support, guidance, direction, assistance. Yeah. And it's like the two are right there next to each other. But because that fear was there and because that fear was embedded so early on, you know, it's like there can be two energies standing right there, but the one we focus on is the one that we're making bigger, you might say. So now that we know that there's no blame, there's no shame here, this is just something that literally was picked up really early on. So I don't even think I'm not even sure it's something that happened to him, but something that he picked up emotionally that might have played out. Could have been even in a lighthearted way, but played out nonetheless. Yeah. I keep hearing suffocation. It's like fear of that, fear of not being able to breathe. And that can even be emotionally, like if you have a very dominant person in your life early in your life, that can feel like suffocation too. So it doesn't even have to be physical. I'm just asking him if I have permission to shift this out at all. Yeah, let me breathe. Okay, okay, so let's pick up this old program. And anywhere else, anywhere where this program applies to any of us, anywhere where we felt, yeah, almost like a negative energy following. But there's a really beautiful one right next to that. So we're just picking up that. There we go. Sorry. Okay, let's clear this out of the throat. Yeah, listen to it. It's like it's completely shifting. This is fear of I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Yeah, very young, I can't breathe too. Okay, yeah, it's very literal. All right, let's clear that out of the throat, clear it out of the head, clear it out of any fear, perception of fear, stress, anxiety around fear. Yeah, it's like almost like coming in as the being that he comes in as and feeling like that is going to be drowned out or suffocated. Yeah, and so there we go, we got it. Yep, clearing all that up and out. Clear it up and out of his heart. Yeah, we'll throw a blue star in there just to neutralize all that energy, And we're actually going to hand that blue star over to this other energy that's there she's beautiful. I mean, she's loving, she's supportive, she's transformative, she's we're going to kind of put that blue star in her hands so that she can be a little bit more felt by him. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I would just say to him too, that there's a lot shifting in his gut, especially in his solar plexus area, around feeling empowered, feeling disempowered. Anytime we have anxiety or stress like that, it can, feel very disempowering. And it's almost like with this other energy being the focal point, she's reestablishing that sense of power. Yeah. Helping to reestablish that sense of power. So, okay. Whew, there we go. All right. I hope that's helpful for him.
My son is nonverbal yet 5 years old. How can I help him to talk? I am so eager to talk to him.
Did he get change he knows that you're eager to talk with him, and he's already attempting to create a bridge. He would like you to notice all the ways in which he is communicating, through his behaviors, through his sounds, through, and also, oh, there we go. And all the ways, he's asking you to notice all the ways that you already know what he wants and needs, that he's saying there's already that good mother's intuition, that good, kind of telepathic communication that's already taking place that you might not be noticing, or might not be fully trusting yet, which is, understandable. It takes a little bit of time to trust that. But he's saying, pay attention to the ways in which he is communicating, and anything that you believe that he's communicating, like, let's say he grabs your hand and takes you to the, refrigerator, or or he throws a temper tantrum, or you hear something in your head, or you feel like maybe he just wants to go to this place that he likes to go to, or he wants to do this thing that he likes to do. Instead of keeping that inside, verbally say to him, I kind of feel like you want to go outside right now. Or I'm kind of noticing, like you're having a really big meltdown right now. I kind of feel that that's about, you didn't get the, you didn't get the whatever it is you wanted, or I asked you to transition a little faster than what was comfortable for you. I would verbally say to him what you are noticing in his nonverbal communications. Because the more you're saying that back to him, he's recognizing that you are picking up his messages, and he can also help you trust that the messages that you're getting already are accurate. Yeah, he can help you trust that. And as that kind of happens, that's the bridge for him going, okay, I think now that that's happening, now there's other forms of communication that can take place too. It's almost like he's asking you to come to him first, which is fairly typical of this population, because they're all asking us to tap into the more subtle forms of communication so that we are more aware of what we are actually communicating. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, verbally say back to him what you're noticing, and do it a lot, like pretty consistently, and then watch what kind of communication he gives you back. So yeah, okay. hope that works. It will.
My boys are turning 12 in a month and both have deep red marks at the groin area, almost like a deep stretch mark. I find it peculiar that they both have this. They have stretch marks on other areas of their bodies as well as arms and waist. Is this natural for their age, or could it be a lack of exercise and movement? Thank you.
Hold on a second. To answer your question, kind of both and definitely can be at a physical, biological level, a lack of exercise or movement or things like that. But the boys are also stretch marks. You know, let's take it literally, practically. What's being stretched, literally, it's like what's not being stretched. There's something about, hold on a second. So, and again, we're not talking about, hold on a second, I'm trying to understand something. So they're saying at a biological level, yes, it can be not exercising, right? That can be the stretch marks, but also it's like a message. It's like I'm in that growing area, like I'm literally like I'm stretching into another phase of my life. I'm stretching into or it's a stretch. It literally is a stretch for the boys to move from where they have been into, you know, another level of their maturity, right? You know, stretch marks on the arms, like, again, it's like, what is, I keep hearing them say, what is being stretched and where is it a stretch? Where is this a stretch? I don't know if this is, I'll just say it because it sounds interesting to me, but it's almost like this, I just want to make sure I'm accurate on this one. Hold on a second. They're saying that the stretch marks show up before, the physical stretch marks show up before they're being asked to stretch in that way, right? So I wish I could be more coherent about this answer, but they're asking us to ask ourselves questions. What is a stretch? What's being stretched? Yeah. Stretch in certain bodily areas, whether it's the growing or the arms. We're asking, is it a stretch to grow in that way? Is it a stretch? And literally, it's almost like I keep seeing, you know, when people have like a growth spurt, and it's almost like the physical body is showing the growth spurt before the physical growth spurt actually happens. Or maybe, yeah, there's something about that. It's almost like the elongating of the arms, the elongating of the legs out of the growing area. I'm maturing, I'm coming into another phase of my development. That's a stretch. That's a stretch. It's a stretch emotionally. It's a stretch physically. This is where the stretch marks are. Yeah. And the more we kind of take it in that way and have conversations with them, And again, I would literally say it's like, whether you think they understand everything you're saying or not, I would like out loud, it's like, I wonder what is literally feels like too much of a stretch right now, or feels like it's a stretch in your world. Does it feel like I would say to them, does it feel like it's a stretch to go from boy to man, from boys to men kind of thing? It's like, it's all around that. It's all around that energy. And I think the more that you kind of question it in a different way, I think the more is going to be revealed. Again, let's use this energetic climate to ask questions that might be different than what we would typically ask. But I think something else will be revealed, and they might be able to reveal something else to you about that whole scenario. So, yeah, I hope that's helpful.
I am reading the presence process and recognize that my reactivity to my father-in-law calling my autistic toddler retarded is a reflection of unintegrated childhood emotions. I'm having an incredibly hard time opening up my heart chakra and staying with this pain in meditation. Now my in-laws want to spend time together and I'm mentally stewing in my own stinking thinking. How can I move through this energy to find the highest path forward in this conflict? So far, I've just been avoiding my father-in-law. I want to find peace within myself and find the strength to continue this relationship with boundaries.
One, let's appreciate the fact that you have hit something really pretty core, and so because you've hit something pretty core, it is absolutely going to be raw. And so whether you choose to allow your parents in or not, or whether you choose to allow, these folks in, or whether you kind of say, no, not now. Whether you set a boundary or not, the opportunity really is, because in either one of those cases, let's say you say, yeah, no, I know you want to come, but no, thank you. That is going to bring up a certain type of emotion or feeling. And if you say, yes, come, and you're on guard the whole time, that's also going to bring up a certain emotion and feeling. So not one is better or worse than the other. The opportunity is that this feeling state is going to arise so that it can be met. Yeah. And the opportunity here is not, it's really, did the get-go go? It's really not about forgiveness or anything like that yet. That'll come naturally and organically. And I'm not even saying forgiveness for him. I'm saying forgiveness for yourself. Yeah. Forgiveness for forgiveness for what that little one within you felt early on, and the way that might have been experienced over and over again in your life. Yeah. So, the presence process will say it's like you're not going to get rid of feeling, you're going to get better at feeling. And that's exactly what this opportunity brings about. I mean, anytime we have close family close by, it's like they're the ones that are best at bringing up this energy. But if we use it to be present to what's arising within us, instead of trying to reorganize anything for them or even around the situation, I mean, literally, this is what's coming up. This is how it feels. This is what it reminds me of, using every one of those steps within the presence process the whole time they're there or not there. Yeah, that's the opportunity. That's the opportunity. And let's acknowledge it is challenging. It is challenging. But just because it's challenging doesn't mean that we can't breathe through it. Yep, it's challenging because that's how deep it is. Yeah. So here it comes again. It feels really overwhelming. I can't stay with this feeling. So let's not stay with the feeling. Let's start that breath. Even when you're not in that 15-minute breath cycle in the morning and in the evening, just go right into it. I am here now in this. I am here now in this. And just moving through that cycle and keeping that breath going through that emotional state literally breaks up that emotional state. And it breaks it up because whenever you heard that as a child, way back in the day, whatever that energy was back in the child and you, as a child, and you froze around it, you hear that and your breath stops. So now you're hearing another version of it again, and I am here now in this, you're breathing through it. So it actually breaks up that cycle. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Good. Yeah. Okay. So let's just see if there's any closing statements or remarks, and then we'll I get really the only thing let's put this all together, let's put all these questions and comments and even that last statement about the presence process. Let's put it all together and let's put it to use in this next 30 to 60 days. So again, we are in a climate, an energetic climate of evolution, of really significant change. I mean, significant change inside and out. And so that significant change is going to bring things to awareness that we haven't been aware of before. It's also going to bring core issues and anxieties and stressors to the forefront. Number one, we want to, whether we're talking to our own inner children or the children around us, we're going to speak about it. We're not just going to keep it in our mental minds. We're going to verbally articulate it, or we're going to write it down so that we can see it, so that the kids can hear it. Yep, our inner children and outer children can hear it. Yep, they can know what we're aware of now. Yeah. And again, when things get challenging or overwhelming, whether that challenge be physical, mental, emotional, whatever layer or reality that falls into, and usually some combination of all of those at some point, even outside of the presence process, breath work really does help break up stagnant energy. So when there is a stressor physically, mentally, emotionally, and we just start breathing without pause through that feeling state, even, we have a repetitive thought that we just can't get rid of, a repetitive emotion that goes with that thought. Let's put that mental state into a different pattern. Let's give it something to do. And it can be as easy as I am here now in this. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And we don't stop. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. You won't hyperventilate. We just want the inhale and the exhale to be the same length and just keep moving it. You're creating energy and motion. You're moving that energy. So it's no longer stuck or stagnant. And these kinds of things are really going to support us over the next 30, 60 days. Yeah. Because nothing that is coming up is a fault of anyone's. All of this is imprinted information. It's nobody's fault, but it is our great gift and our great capacity to move through it. Yeah, that's where we really get to see who we are in truth. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. And a couple things coming up before we close today. The integration series is going to start on June 25th. Highly would recommend it in this energetic climate. I usually don't do big promos for the things that we do. I usually just tell you about them, but just watching these cycles over the last couple and watching them build, different energetic climates avail us of different opportunities. And there's a lot of opportunity for shift and change in this particular climate. So that's June 25th is when that starts. And of course, the New World Portal, we really are pretty much working in biological transformation at this point, so that we're owning and embodying that highest timeline, what we are in truth. And my guess is as we move through the next, the last 6 months of the year from July on, for sure, we're really going to be kind of consciously choosing our capacities and utilizing, wielding those capacities. So yeah, doesn't matter where you've started in that process, jump in, and there's a lot of support there too. So, all right, I will see you guys next month or somewhere around the block. Bye guys, lots of love.